Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to Jamie Photography. So, I'm in London at the moment on my workshop. I've got some wonderful students that have joined me from the US actually, and we're having a great week in London at the moment. And taking the opportunity to get up nice and early in the mornings to catch London at its quietest and to see some of the sunrises. Now, unfortunately, they're just blue sky sunrises, so we're not getting any wonderful clouds. But no matter, we can still do well with what we're given. In this shot here, this is Parliament Square at Westminster in central London, and we of course have what everybody calls Big Ben. Of course, Big Ben is just the name of the bell that chimes on the hour. This is the Elizabeth Tower with the clock faces. It's at the end of the Parliament buildings, the House of Lords and the House of Commons. So in this square here, there are many statues of very famous people, including Gandhi and also Nelson Mandela, as well as influential people from military and also past prime ministers. And here you can see two of the greatest British prime ministers, in my view, David Lloyd George on the left and Sir Winston Churchill on the right. And it's a beautiful shot of Lloyd George with his cloak flapping behind him in the wind, pointing towards Parliament. And there we have Winston Churchill just facing towards Elizabeth Tower. So it's a great shot. So what I did was here, I shot it in silhouette with the sun just rising. It's 5:20 in the morning and it's looking good. So this is where we start with the basic from camera raw image. You can see it was shot at 400th of a second, f9, 800 ISO. And I was hand holding, so I wanted to keep the ISO up and still have a decent f-stop, get that higher shutter speed just to be sure we didn't get any camera shake. But we're going to take this raw, this DNG straight from camera, and we're going to turn it into this. We're going to bring the gold out on Elizabeth Tower and the clock face, and we're just going to bring that sunrise a little bit more warmth into the shot. Feel free to download the DNG file, which I've put a link down below. You're welcome to download that and follow along. All I ask is that you do use the picture on social media and you use it publicly, then please give credit to myself for the original picture and hopefully direct them towards my Facebook and YouTube channel. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I'd be really grateful for you to do so. Join me on my adventure here. I'm having a great time enjoying it. Take time to watch the video through, and if you do like it, please like the video, and I always welcome comments and questions. So let's get started. First things I'm going to do here is we're going to try to increase the amount of shadow that we have, and we can do that by reducing the shadow slider here, just to make sure we've got ourselves a full shadow there, a silhouette, if you like, of the two great prime ministers, and the Elizabeth Tower with Big Ben, the clock inside the bell and the clock. What we're going to do is look at the perspective first of all, and I'm going to go down to transform. I'm going to try auto just to see what it does, and it's pretty good actually. The tower is straight. This is all straight, so I don't think I need to go any further. I'm happy to work with that. Then I think what we're going to need to do is tidy this up a little bit and sort out the trees coming through his head's not so good, so we will need to remove some of this. Before I do, I really want to try to black out the bottom here. You can see there's a truck passing by here, so I can do that by taking a mask, taking a linear gradient, and literally just making quite a short one that just sort of comes up to here, so it covers the truck 100% to 0% in quite a short distance. There's nothing over here of any interest, and then I can just reduce the exposure and drop down the highlights just to get rid of anything there that's sort of standing out, and we can take out these remaining marks when we go over into Photoshop. I'm going to crop this as well, so I'm going to go to crop, and I think we're going to turn this into portrait. Now I like the way the light is shining off these buildings over here, so we'll come back to that in a little while and see if we can brighten that, make that look something better. So I think what we're going to do is take that, just come forward of that chimney there, take that out, and then we're going to go with the clock tower pretty well. Just going to move this up a little bit here. I'm going to put the clock tower on the rule of thirds. That works quite well. Now that's almost a 1-to-1 scale. So let's go over to the aspect ratio here. Click on custom and then click 1-to-1, and there you can see we've got ourselves a 1-to-1. I'm going to pull that down just so we've got the top of the tower in that shot there, and the clock is dead on the rule of thirds. That works fine. So I'm going to press return, accept that. You can see now that we've cropped in, that is not perfectly straight. It is actually still leaning in slightly. So we're going to go back down to transform, go to guided, click on guided, and I'm just going to take the edge of this tower here. There we go, using the magnification box. And I'll take the edge of this building over here, click, hold down, and release. And there we go. That straightens those up. That's much better. So I'll happy to accept that. So that's our 1-to-1. So now we've done all that, I think what we're going to do is go over into Photoshop, and we'll delete some of the bits and pieces that are a little bit distracting. Now, I've loaded the Adobe Photoshop beta. If you look at my previous video, which is Adobe Photoshop remove tool, wow, exclamation mark is what I've written in there, and it really is wow. Take a look at that to see how to load the Photoshop beta and how to connect it to your Lightroom. So I'll put a link at the end of this video to do that, so you can follow that link through, or you can just look in my YouTube channel to see the video. So I think going back to guided here, I'm just going to go back onto the lines, and you can do that by clicking on this little box here. I see that the tower is not horizontal here, so we've got the two verticals sorted, but I do think we need to just make sure that we've got that horizontal. There we go. So that's now square, and that's square this way, and that's square. So it's all working very, very well. I might even just bring this down just slightly so it's square. There we go. Let's go over into Photoshop. So I right click on the image, I go to editing, go to editing Adobe Photoshop beta, and as I say, I've got that assigned in Lightroom. So if you go look at the other video, you'll see how to do that. It's pretty straightforward. So that's just going over to Photoshop. I'm just going to pop over there to find it. Here it is. And what we're going to do is look at taking out some of the bits and pieces that are in the shot. So I'm just zooming in. So I'm just using my touchpad and pulling it apart. You can use the magnification tool here, and then you can select to go positive or negative with your zoom. So I'm going to go to the remove tool, which you have to have Photoshop beta to have the remove tool. And if you look in there, you've got your spot healing brush, you've got your healing brush tool, your patch tool, your content aware, etc. They're all still there, but you do have this additional remove tool, which I've gone and selected here. You can make the brush size bigger or smaller using the square brackets to the left of the return key. So I can take a relatively big brush there, and I'm just going to paint in along the edge of his cape, Lloyd George's cape, and then just paint over the bits that I want to remove. There we go. Just doing this one part of the tree here first, and I think we've got everything there. Let go, and it will compute. Now the first time you run it in Photoshop, each time you have you run at Photoshop, it has to calculate through the AI process what needs to be done. I'm just going to go over that second bit again there just to get rid of that. Now the second time it adds the data to the data already knows, so it's slightly quicker. Okay, so then I'll go up here the top corner, I will take out this bit here, so when I let go it's a little bit quicker. So effectively what's happening is the AI is learning about this image, and it's improving each time. So we've got to deal with this bit around his face and his head, because it does make it a little bit messy. So I'm just going to zoom in here closer, and using the space bar to hold down so I can move it. So I'm going to take the brush here, and I'm going to start right on the edge of his lip there, and I'm just going to go down and just paint out this particular branch. There we go. Let go. And it will compute what needs to be done, and it will take it out. There you go. Isn't that absolutely magic? We need to take out this bit behind his head. So just going to take that out. And I think we should take this up to the edge of this branch here. There we go. And it will take that out. So it kept that branch in because it could see this branch was continuing. So we do need to remove it from sort of over here back. So I'm just going to go in here, and we're just going to take out this branch here all the way back to his head, just touching there, and then down here. So the AI is looking at the image, and it's deciding, well, what is it that he's looking for? Is he looking for us to continue this branch? And the fact that this branch is not connected to anything else, it should remove it completely, and we'll wait for it to do so. There we go. Good job there. So this bit getting out the top of his head, as you saw, it closed that bit in before because it continued. But because we're working our way back effectively from here, we can come back up to there and just come down onto this bit here. There we go. And I'm just going to come across there, and we're just going to take these bits out. So effectively, we've just got that branch above. And it will look at what we're trying to achieve, and it will remove it. There we go, leaving just that branch above. There's a slight discoloration there, so we can just run through there again just to make sure that discoloration is gone, which it now has. So I'm going to leave the rest in there. I think that looks okay with it coming in from above. I think we need to take this lamp out. It's a little bit distracting underneath him here. So I'm just zooming in. I'm taking the brush to make it a little bit smaller. I'm taking the brush, and I'm just going to go around onto the edge of that bit of plant there. I'm not going to go near that other bit of plant. Come down here, just touching on the top of that straight edge. It knows that straight edge is what we want to keep, and just filling it in and then let go. And it will remove, as you will see, by magic, it's gone. Now look at this flagpole here. Now I want to remove it because it's a little bit distracting inside all these plants coming across. So just going to go to the top just there, and then I'm going to start drawing and just making sure I've got the flagpole in, just keeping that there. I'm just going to go down to the top there. There we go, and let go. So how is it going to deal with the flagpole inside all of those trees? It's going to keep the tree in place. Absolutely incredible. We're just going to go across here to Winston Churchill, as there's a little lantern sticking out here. So I'm just going to take this out as well. Just go down onto that edge there, across there, in there, and it's just going to remove that. And see that bit sticking out there a little bit? Look, that's the edge of the tower itself. So we want to keep that piece there. And as you can see, as you go up, you can see those little bits just sticking out. So that's fine. And then just coming over the other side here, can you see the moon there in the distance? Wow. And then this is right on the edge. This tower here is right on the edge of the framing, and because it's 1-to-1, we want to try to keep that there. So I am just going to take this one out and just cut across like that where the roof would be, and I'm just going to take out that one, and you can see it's actually drawn in this this detail along the roof. I'm just going to take that a little bit out there, but you see it's still kept it as was. So absolutely amazing. Just going to pop down the bottom here to where there's still some bits of the lorry showing through, and we will literally just paint those out to remove them, and the remove tool removes those very easily, very quickly. There's some detail there which we'll just get rid of, and I think we're pretty well tidied up. So I'm just going to zoom back and fit screen. So yeah, I'm happy with that. It's tidy around Lloyd George. It's certainly very tidy around Winston Churchill. The roof line is not distracting where it crosses, and we've got this bit of tree coming in the top. Happy with that. So we're going to send this back into Lightroom. File, close, save. Important that you don't go file, save, or save as, because effectively it won't go back into Lightroom. It will, but it'll go back into the register, and you'll have to go and find it and resynchronize the folder. It's best to go file, close, save, and then it goes back into Lightroom. So as I go back over into Lightroom, you'll see that the new version is there. So we're going to do the final dress on this image. I want to bring the clock tower and the clock face a bit brighter, as though the sunlight's sort of picking it up a little bit. So we're going to go to masks. We're going to take a radial gradient. We're going to take quite a large radial gradient here that comes down over the clock face and up into the tower area, because this is all illuminated during the night hours. Okay. What you might say is, well, I don't want to light all the sky up out here, right? So what we can say is subtract the sky from this radial, and what you'll then see if I hover over the mask is it's only affecting the clock tower. It is also lighting up the radio is catching the branches up above. So we also need to subtract a brush, and that brush can have quite a low feather, about 10%, and 100% flow. And we'll take this brush up. Now you can see there's a minus inside the brush. That means it's subtracting. So we're within mask 1. We've asked for a subtraction of a brush, and the brush is there with a minus on. So I can just go in next to the tower like that, and I can just say, well, look, I don't really want. Let me move that over closer. I'm going to click, and then I'm going to shift click to this point here, shift click to this point here, click and shift click down to here. Just do that. There we go. So that's no longer included. Same on this side. I'm just going to click, shift click again, just so I'm drawing a sort of straight line along that edge there. Just going to click in there. Just get that a little bit down there. So that's now not included in the mask. As you can see, the mask is just now the tower and the clock face, and it's not the sky. So we won't brighten the sky when we brighten that up. So I'm just going to go down to exposure. I'm going to increase the exposure. Here we go. Just to bring the clock tower back in. Now, the wonderful thing about the Big Ben, as we like to call it, the Elizabeth Tower, is the renovation that was carried out over the last 6 years. And it's been on view again for a couple of years, and it is absolutely stunning. The gold work, the gold leaf at the top is amazing. So we do need to make sure we see that, because it is in shadow, so it's not really being illuminated very much. So we're just going to go down within this mask, take the temp slider to bring up the yellows, and just boost that color back in. Add a little bit of magenta just to balance it off so it's not too green, and it gives us that wonderful golden color. That looks very nice. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reduce the feather on this radial, and you can do that. You can do that in the gradient radial box here, and you can see below the mask there. I've got it here, and the feather's at 37. And if I bring that back, I can close the feather down, so it's a really sharp edge feather, or I can put 100% feather in. Go the other way. There we go. And just bring it into the sort of focus there. So I'm actually going to go around about 85 there. I'm going to bring up the highlights just to brighten the clock face a little bit more. That looks quite nice. I still think we need a little bit more gold in there, so I'm going to go down to saturation and just bring the saturation up just a little bit more. That's looking quite nice. Now it is just a little bit too much on the clock face. So what I can do is I can go to a new subtract brush, and this time the brush is going to be, if I can get to the settings, the brush is going to be a very low feather, and I'm going to go sort of 30% flow, because I just want to take a little bit out. So I'm just going to make the brush roughly the same size as the clock face, and then I'm just going to click gently once, just to take a little bit of away, and you can see the color's already changed. And I'm just going to do that again, just to try and bring that back. I'm going to make the brush a little bit smaller, and I'm just going to wash around inside there. One more pass. There we go. So we just change the color so it's not quite so yellow. So if I come away from that, you'll see that actually looks okay. Doesn't look too bad at all. So back inside mask 1. Now what you can also do with that clock face there, we can also add some clarity, not too much, just to make it pop, and we can also add some contrast. There you go. So that's looking really realistic up there now. Looks very good. This light, these windows over to the left, you know, this sunlight that the dawn is coming. You see, it's 5:20 in the morning. Great time to visit London, by the way. If you get up early in the morning for sunrise, which was about 5:10, you can go to Westminster Square, stand outside the Houses of Parliament, visit Lloyd George and Winston Churchill, and be the only person there. Not even any traffic on the road. In this case, there was a small lorry passing by, but generally very, very quiet, even on a weekday. And then you can just sit or shoot and enjoy yourself in complete calm. You know, it's really, really lovely because 2 or 3 hours later, there's a million people on a mission. And it loses that ambiance. So do, if you come to London, take the time to get up nice and early and just have a wander around all of the all of the interesting places early in the morning. It's really good. So there's windows over here on the left. I'm going to create a new mask. I'm going to take a radial gradient and I'm going to pull a radial, quite a big radial gradient out like this. I'm going to alter its angle so it's following the angle of the windows. And I'm going to put this center of this radial gradient on the edge here. So it's brighter here, gets dimmer as it moves away. You can see the feather line there. If I move the feather slider, you can see that would get bigger. So I go back, or smaller as I increase the feather to 100%, it goes tiny. You can also grab this little red dot here and you can pull out the feather to say, well, I don't want this bit feathered or I do want that bit feathered. So I'm just going to bring the feather in about there. We're going to open up the exposure. So brighten those windows. You see how it's doing that? Wonderful. We're going to add in some temp into that just to get the color to match the sky. Remember the magenta to balance that yellow off to get rid of the green hue, and that looks really nice coming in there. Now I'm not going to put overall saturation into this only because I'm going to put that into the sky. But what we can do is just apply a little bit here, but we do need to subtract the sky from this radial. So I'm going to subtract the sky, so you'll see that that's gone there, and then we're going to come out of this particular mask by clicking on masks, and you know, before I do that, actually just want to add some contrast into that shot there. That's nice, and a little bit of clarity. Watch the clarity on these windows. Wow, you know, amazing. Too much there, but I'm going to come back to 15. That looks really nice. So let's do the sky. I'll create another mask and I'll just select sky. That's all I'm going to do, nothing more. And what I'm going to do is go down to the sliders here and I'm going to increase the temperature. I'm going to increase the magenta just to give it a bit more buzz there. And I'm going to bring the saturation up. So we've got that sunlight coming up from where Churchill's feet are. Even a little bit more saturation there maybe just to make that pop. That's really good. But what I'm also going to do is I want to bring some blue in here to give us some transfer of color. So I'm going to, where it says sky, I'm going to the 3 dots within this mask and I'll click on that and then you'll see there's intersect mask with. And if you intersect that mask with a linear gradient, okay, you can bring a gradient down from above, which shows you the same pattern as what we've done and took away the rest of it. Or what you can do, which is quite good, is you can grab the middle line, turn it upside down, you see that? And then bring it down so that you're getting the 100% color here and 0% color there. So we introduce that blue back in up here, you see, as though the sun's coming up from that side, which is where it's coming from. Then what we can go do is create another mask, another linear gradient, and bring it down from above on that top corner. But remember, we want to subtract the tower. Now you could do subtract object or subject and then paint it in. But the best way I find when you're in a sky and there's something in the sky is to subtract the sky, but then click the invert. So it only does the opposite. So it's only doing the sky, as you can see. So I've subtracted the tower. That's how that works. And then what I'm going to do here is going to add some more blue in. Just make that nice and blue up in that top right corner. Let's click back on that gradient and just bring that down a little bit further just to bring the two together. There we go. maybe back that one right off to the corner there. And I'm going to just rotate that slightly so we've got the colour coming in. And I think that works quite well. We don't overdo it. Maybe a little bit more saturation in there. Not too much, but that works. That works very well indeed. So I'm going to come out the masks. And you know what? Principally, I think this is done. I'm quite happy with that. It was quite an easy, straightforward process. We lit up the clock tower and the clock face, and we brought these windows in, and we removed some of the plant life that was around there. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. If you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe. It'd be great for you to join me on my adventure on YouTube. I'm having a great time here. And also, if you like the video, please click like. But most important of all, if you like it and you have a comment, make a comment. If you've got questions, ask questions. I really do try very hard to answer everyone that comes through, and I really do appreciate the time you take to make a comment or ask a question. So I think we will finish up here. So I'm going to say bye bye for now.